Alright, hey, what's poppin', Jimbos? So I realized a new update for Old World Blues came out today, and not a lot of people have made videos on it yet. Played a little bit of it earlier, and I had a glitch that it was from my Yakuza mod that I had on that pretty much fucked up my game a little bit. Though I did play a little bit of it, though fucking it gave everyone the super mutant technology, which at first I thought was part of the experience, but as later found out it wasn't. So I would be doing a playthrough of the new expansion that they added. Decided to continue. I'm not sure. So yeah, they have new options. You have West Coast and now Mexico. They'll probably add more down the line as is updated further. Probably East Coast or Central U.S., maybe even Canada. That's what I'm assuming. But pretty much in this update, I guess the story is that this leader right here is actually an AI that was, I'm not sure if it was installed by the U.S. government or by some corporation, but this is pretty much just a massive AI that pretty much acts as a sort of god to Mexico. And this character right here is an offshoot of this AI. But this is the main faction I'm assuming a lot of people are going to be playing, since it's the most fleshed out tree in this what I played, focus tree. I haven't played any of the other factions yet, so I'll be playing this one today, the Republic of Rio Grande. So for the rest of the videos of this, I'll probably just make it 20 minutes of this just one playthrough. But so I'll just cut it in every playthrough and I'll upload that. Want to see that? But I did play a little bit of it and I know which tree I'm gonna go down. And so yeah, let's get into it. Start off as a democracy. I just play on civilian just to make it easier, since I'm not obviously trying and this is pretty new. But yeah, like I said, this is public right here. Here's the AI, here's the offshoot, and from what I gather is that eventually this will break off into 3 different factions that are offshoots of the AI, and they represent historical figures, so I'm going to assume that these historical figures is what they're going to try to mimic in their focus tree. But the one I'm going to go down, show you here. Yeah, they have this new interface and all that. I guess this just explains right here. Yeah. But the one I was going down is the engineer route, just sort of the technocratic route. So your path to progress, and get a Brotherhood chapter that spawns over here in this section of the map. It's pretty much just its own little puppet you have over here that has power armor. But the lore for this place, I guess, is that originally it was a part of Annex not Canada, Annex Mexico, that the U.S. annexed, and a lot of the military from the occupation was here. Also, a major part of it is the Armageddon shelter, which you open up later in the game through focuses like the Armageddon station. These focuses basically just give you a lot of advanced technology. Give me a minute. Okay, I'm back. I just had to check if it was recording. I didn't want to make a fuck up. But yeah, so that is pretty much the rundown of what I know about the DLC. Not the DLC, but the update so far. So let's just get into it. Research all the stuff. They did update the tree a little bit from the last update. This This section looks completely different. They added this, which is yeah, the glitch before, like I said, was I had this unlocked. Everybody did, so that was pretty odd. Just having supermutants. So start off with the basic technology. Get some research bonuses. This is quite an interesting little thing that they have right here. So pretty much you have your air, naval, and land doctrine. Just kind of, I guess, kind of specialized right here. Where they also have your standard land doctrine here. It's kind of a weird way to do it, but I guess since you don't use aerial and naval too much, I guess it's just better to cut it down to one tree, or you could specialize in, I'm assuming this is like a power armor route, is what I'm guessing, or like a special forces route. You have Air Force, they updated a lot of the icons. You have this jet right here that wasn't there before, and all this kind of stuff. And they actually moved the airships and the fortresses away from the cargo plane itself, and made them their own little special cast support, I'm assuming. They didn't change a whole lot of this besides the icons. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Switch that. Since I'll be doing a robotics playthrough, I'm going to be using obviously a lot of robotics, which is in which tree? These trees, this tree. We're going down this tree. I don't think you can get advanced with the Republic, but if you can, that'd be pretty nice. Give me access to a lot of these, but I don't believe you can, as far as I know. Though maybe you might be able to with the Apocalypse Shelter. Actually, I probably shouldn't do that, because I know later on in the game, an enemy faction spawns there. Alright, for these sections, I'll just read them. If you don't, you can just skip past by like a minute in, just to skip this. In the year 2051, the United States invaded and occupied Mexico, citing political instability, environmental impact, and protection of American citizens as their reasoning. In truth, the move was to protect American interests in Mexico, specifically the large portions of oil industry owned by American corporations. Although the occupation went smoothly at first, the American military was still met with resistance farther from the border. Seeking a way to invest American assets in the north of Mexico without facing much criticism, the Army officially recognized the Republic of Rio Grande as an independent nation, and began construction efforts to increase the stability of the region. In truth, the infrastructure built by the American forces was almost exclusively military-oriented, designed to create inroads into Mexico, developed enough to support mass deployment and long-term supply chains. The capital of the newly formed republic was notably chosen to be, I have no fucking clue, Piedras Negra. I'm not really sure to pronounce that. I'm not really good at this kind of shit. And leadership was handpicked by occupying forces to ensure cooperation. The Americans, are, at the very least, provided the capital with its own executive, judiciary, and legislative buildings. During the 24 years before the Great War, that the Republic of Rio Grande was occupied, where did the Americans focus their efforts the most? So you either have infrastructure, which is obviously infrastructure, or you get some workshops and munitions, which I think is just objectively better. And like I said earlier, this is part of the politics. Yeah, this has this. Read this. Armageddon Station. If there's any place in Mexico where you can still smell pride and fear of the old world, it's Armageddon Station. The station was designed before the Great War as a backup for American control of Mexico in the event of nuclear war, containing multiple manufacturing facilities, equipment, and resources to rebuild in the event of a nuclear holocaust. Legends tell of rooms full of powered armor and laser rifles, of cabins containing gex, which is a pretty important piece of equipment in Fallout lore, and construction equipment. There's just one problem: nobody can get in. The facility was supposed to always be occupied by American soldiers. Deserted when the bombs began to fall, and anyone who wants to enter the facility needs 4 keys scattered across Mexico. The AI received one to give to the U.S. Army. The puppet president had one, as it was Colonel Griffin. Thus, you have 2 as you start off. So, what this mechanic basically is. No, yeah, also Gloria. And Santa acquire the 4th. So pretty much what this thing is about is the way you have to actually gain control of and get the stuff inside the vault. You have access to this very nice little focus shield here. So you have to take out this Santa Ana right here, and both of these both these countries. I also don't know why they start you out on this, even though you have basic up to unlocked. Yeah, that's pretty much the gist of that. I think most focus sheets do give you annex scores against them. Alright, nuclear rain. The Great War came without warning and left everyone in a state of disarray. Mexico was hit later than its northern neighbor, giving enough time for paranoia, rioting, and the destruction of the chain of command. As news spread of the devastation, the explosion of distance continued on and on. The people of the Republic fell into disarray for some unknown reason. The military high command and the army organization sealed themselves away from the rest of the world, never once using their nuclear payload to retaliate. As chaos began to swirl and anarchy reigned, the military presence left in the capital made a snap decision. They organized as best they could under the colonel and rapidly moved to gather and direct as many civilians as they could to numerous bunkers in the city. These bunkers had originally been designed to protect highly valuable resources and equipment, as well as staff in some cases. Ever since the food riots in Denver resulted from reduced crop output, food had become an essential resource for the military, allowing for at least limited term survival. Once the military had gathered as many people as they possibly could, they sealed the doors of each bunker and waited. It wasn't just the men of the capital who acted to save lives. However, across the Republic, the soldiers who had been abandoned by their high command decided to save as many people as they could before the end. Some died in the process, still venturing out to find civilians as bombs began to fall on the Republic. Near the end, just before Mexico was bathed in nuclear fire, there was a cry of help on the radio. Soldiers from the Mexican army who deserted to cross the border and find shelter with the Americans whose bunkers were prepared for the apocalypse. The Americans quickly found a battalion and hurried them away to safety, which these men survived. These survivors with, I personally think knowledge is way better than just experience. So let's go with that, since it gives you a lot of buffs for your units, especially in, I believe, core territory. Next. But yeah, like I was saying earlier, before I forget, this does have sort of like a political system, like the US has, and man the guns. It's pretty intricate. It's pretty interesting what they have going on. Though I don't think it affects the story too much beyond, or the gameplay too much beyond the first couple of years. So we have Democratic Apocalypse. 3 decades after the Great War, the Republic of Rio Grande was still a shadow of its former self. It had been self-imposed dictatorship for the last 30 years, with the death of Colonel Griffin. Yeah, Griffin. The Republic transitioned into a democracy as he was sort of like a Pinochet style thing, I'm guessing, setting up elections for, or maybe more like Franco, but setting up elections for the numerous branches of the government as well as for the president themselves, which was much harder than anticipated. But at the end, it happened. The first president of the Republic had built their platform around the reclamation of lost land. Over the next 4 years, they reclaimed Mexico's largest steel factory, mines, and key supply locations. Numerous other facilities and locations were captured, such as Armageddon Station and the city of Monclova, I don't fucking know. None of these came without losses, as the bands would set up camp in the city and across most of the uncontested territory, provided difficult to dislodge. A border was drawn around the point at which the Republic could expand no longer. To the south was some unknowable agent whose robots seemed content to protect their border for them, and to the west sat a great desert from which no invader could hope to prevail. Her great 8-year term came to a close, and after she met her goal, she was running in once more. This time her platform was centered around reconstruction preservation. What did she prioritize? So, just think preparing the city better just for that extra civilian factory. So this first episode is probably going to be a little slow inside of reading in the first couple hours of this game. I think your soldiers in this mod, yeah, they have already equipped with some machine gun. So that's what I'm adding it on. Hubris in the year 2263, drunk off success and the inevitable conquest of New Mexico, one of the Legion's centurions. Yeah, so pretty much what this is that... Fuck, that kind of weird. Pretty much a centurion from Caesar's Legion. It came down to Texas hoping to find more slaves and people to enslave and gain glory from and conquer for Caesar. And eventually he lost a lot of his units when he entered the Republic. And eventually he does become a bit of a nuisance in the game, though you take care of him pretty early on in the tree. Yeah, it's down here, yeah. So, yeah, Pallius. But I'll continue reading. Centurions petitioned Caesar for the opportunity to prove himself further afield. He argued that the Legion shouldn't just stop in New Mexico, it should continue to Texas and fight worthier foes. Caesar, impressed by how brazenly the man had pushed for command, consulted his legate on the matter. The mal-paced legate, which is in Fallout lore, Joshua Graham, the Burn Man, if you remember him from New Vegas, if you ever played New Vegas, saw no issue with the expedition. On the contrary, the centurion who asked for it was one of his better commanders, and the detachment, succeeding in conquering new lands in Texas. More wealth, slaves, and resources could flow into the capital. If not, the campaign in New Mexico would quickly replace the losses regardless. Caesar gave the man his answer. He would be given 5,000 men to command, and he did under the legate, to go forth and conquer in the name of the Legion. Failure was not an option. Boldly the man stepped forward and declared that neither he nor any of his men would return to the Legion without great bounty. He would come to regret this act under the command of Pallius Navalis, I'm not really sure. I can't fucking speak English anyways. Much less fucking Roman. The army of 5,000 men set out their last ever conquest. They marched along the Rio Grande's south bank, in part due to northern crossing being likely to lead to conflict with unruly tribes. But due to this, Pallius's own hubris, the centurion desired great glory, and so to simply conquer Texas was enough. He wanted slaves, wealth, and power, all to himself. Once he returned to Legion, Mexico was fertile, easy pickings, and that once absorbed into Legion, he could petition to rule as governor. Legionary scouts had been to Mexico as early as 2259 when serving for conquest further from their lands. The scouts had reported Mexico was a home for little more than settlers struggling to survive with no superpowers to speak of. They weren't wrong. The Republic of Rio Grande had a pathetically small standing army due to protection from the south, west, now even from the north. Good terms with their brotherhood still meant they could never worry. Didn't have to worry about the Texan lands being molested by raiders. The Legion should have won, but there was no way the Republic could have defeated them. Yeah. This is your industrial tree over here, and this is your military kind of tree over here. Start out with some industry technologies, and this is basically describing the events of how they actually defeated them. Triumph. When the Centurion Navinus had his men disembark in northern the Republic didn't even know where they were being invaded. The tax collector didn't return from the north. They sent a group of 10 soldiers who also disappeared. When they finally sent scouts to investigate the reports, exceeded their worst fears. An army had arrived in the Republic with only a few hundred soldiers, including civilian militia. The Republic was at severe disadvantage, both numerically and inexperienced. The President Leonardo was tasked with the defense of the Republic. Only 1 year into his term, if he failed it, he would spell the end of his nation. President Mora then rose to the task. He went above and beyond to make the most of the short amount of time he had for proper engagement with the Legion. For better or for worse, the legionaries were more occupied with raiding and torching desert settlements than marching onto their homeland. Perhaps they were simply trying to send a message, but it would be their undoing. Gathering every IOU, calling upon every ally, the threatening return on every broken promise, Mora became the most influential man in Mexico by using diplomacy, intrigue, and brute force. Never one to leave work in the hands of lesser men. Mora personally kicked down the door of each cartel boss, and he would be the man to lead the assault against the invaders. The time around, President Mora gathered his men in preparation for the assault. It would have be all in. There would be no second chances. The fate of the Republic would be decided with a single battle. Were it not for Mora, the Republic would never survived. And everyone alive knows he gathered together mobsters, raiders, tribal settlers, mercenaries, brotherhood knights, pre-war ghouls, and gained the trust and aid of Santa Anna, which is the AI down in the south. Although remain was deciding where the battle would take place. Mora was more charismatic, just a charismatic statement. He was also an excellent tactician. Yeah, sorry guys if I'm messing up a lot. I'm fucking tired as hell. I've been up pretty much all night. But I think this is better to get the cover at night because you get the reconnaissance bonus. And you're not really attacked a lot from what I know as the Republic, so I don't see defense on core territory that useful. Because I feel like you'd probably be on the offensive more or less with the path I'm going. What is the difference? Alright, let's Spec Ops.
¡Órdenes!
But yeah, it's pretty much the majority of the reading for this part done. I'm gonna get some industry tech. It's a little over time, but it's always good to have some research bonuses. A cool thing they had is that you can decrease research time with fucking military experience. I'm not sure if you could do that in the base game. I haven't played it in a while. I probably should get this since we're going down a research robot kind of tech. Yeah, a lot of these are locked behind focuses, so that's why I'm not using all my political power right now. Probably could go to limited conscription. Be good to start getting some manpower. Yeah, you get like a fucking lot of manpower from that. I think most of the troops are trained already, something I need to do with training. Yeah, this is an unedited playthrough. I may edit future ones. I'm not really sure. It just really depends on if anyone would like, if anyone actually sees this and would actually like me to edit it a bit more. But this is basically, I think, an event chain that eventually leads to this nation being spawned over here. I'm not gonna read this. If you can pause it right now if you want to read it. I doubt any of you guys want me reading fucking more. Pretty much, I'm assuming this guy had some, I think he had some like gun bans or something. That you couldn't trade with certain individuals, certain nations, and a lot of black market stuff was going on, which eventually leads to the nation over here getting spawned. You have to go to war with it. We don't have to. I think this is actually a tree that allows you to make them your puppet or like get an alliance with them. But yeah, since a lot of this stuff isn't technically in the base canon of but the canon of Fallout itself, I really can't comment too much about this stuff, since it's obviously only in this game. Since Mexico in the Fallout universe doesn't have a lot of lore behind it, besides like Raul, companion Fallout New Vegas came from Mexico City, if I remember correctly. Expansion, get some civilian work. Actually, am I constructing anything right now? Yeah. Yeah, it's a separate entity of this guy. Really interested in know more about. Yeah, this also, now I think about it, it's a pretty cool feature they added. They added a new radiation storm kind of thing, like from Fallout 4. It's just pretty much a new weather system that acts, not going further, that acts like a storm would in the game. They also have a new storm system in the game, and they updated the textures for the sea so it looks more green and irradiated. Advanced trade with the Legion. So yeah. The free fighters over here, I guess they're supposed to be like some macho libres or some shit, whatever the fuck you call them. But I guess that's what they're based off of. I'm not really sure about their backstory, since this is the only faction I've ever played. And also this AI thing gives guarantees to everybody. It's guarantees. Gives some kind of yeah, protector's guarantee. Continue down the tree that eventually leads to that. Guess this just gives like population boost, but it doesn't have it's not effective as. I'm not really sure the difference between these two. Construction speed's good. I guess this is supposed to be like the this kind of version of the fucking what's it called in the base game, the silent workhorse. Is it as much as silent workhorse? No, I think it's like 15 daily extra political power. Early mobilization.